Selah. So, another little welcome. If you're visiting our community, welcome. If you're visiting our church, welcome. Hope you're having an amazing time. The weather's been all right. There's been some mixed bags, but the last couple of days, the sunshine. Has anyone been able to enjoy that? Yeah? A little bit too much? Yeah, sometimes never too much sun, right? We're one of the people with a cool cabana now. Like, I don't know if you've noticed the rows in the beach. Yeah, we're one of them. But I justify it because then we can stay there longer. We have a young family. And without our cool cabana, I feel like we would need to take our baby home. But with the cool cabana, we can stay there all day long. It's amazing. She sleeps there. We eat there. Does anyone not know what a cool cabana is? Okay, it's like a beach, you know the stripy beach tents that are everywhere at the beach right now? Like the ones with the four walls, not just the umbrella, but it's one of those. It's the latest thing. And yeah, on one day this week, it's like you almost had to book a spot. There was rows like a camping site. But anyway, I don't know where we were going, but the sunshine, that's how that started. Yeah, it was a beautiful. Anyway, hope you guys are having an amazing January so far. I'm going to be sharing the word this morning, which I'm really excited about. I am looking forward to it. I just got to find my pages. I'm old school. I don't use an iPad. I use my notebook and pen. Yeah, I can't not. It'd probably be more useful if I didn't start at the start and flick through. Found it. It's all good, guys. So for those of you that were here last week, Dave mentioned that the word he had on his heart for January was Selah. S-E-L-A-H in the Bible, Selah, different pronunciations. But he talked about just creating space to pause. It means pause. And I really want to track with this morning, this thought. So, he mentioned it was like really felt for us as a church for this month of January. It was a month of Selah, a month of pause. And so I'm going to delve into this a little bit. This word is included 71 times within 39 Psalms in the Bible. So the book of Psalms, it's in there heaps and heaps of times. And a lot of these times it was directed to the choir master. It was directed to like the musical director. And it kind of symbolized a break in a stanza. So if you read the Psalms, there will be words, 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 and then it would be like Selah. It was like a pause moment. So, you know, if you're a musician, you've got your verses and chorus, and there's sometimes like an interlude or like Selah was a pause in these stanzas. So it was known as a type of musical instruction. And so it was a familiar term to musicians, but also to worshippers. Some other meanings, as I was looking during the week, as we said, to pause. Another interpretation claims that Selah comes from the primary Hebrew root word meaning to hang. That similar kind of connotation, just to kind of sit in that space for a little bit. So all of these start to paint the same picture of a musical marker or an instruction to the reader of the text with the meaning to stop and to listen. So this concept of this Selah moment, to stop, to pause, to hang, to listen. This is kind of the feel of where we're going. So it was a call to the reader to stop and listen before moving into the next passage, before moving into the next thing. And I love this because to me that kind of sums up January. It's an opportunity to stop and to pause and to listen before moving into the next thing. For some of you, it might not be all of January. For some of you, you might not even be afforded the gift to have any time off at all. It's a holiday town, so I know a lot of you are working really hard. But I'm hoping that even in amongst that, there'll be moments just to stop and to pause and to listen before moving into the next passage of life. And so, even if it is a busy time, you know, there's a bit of a break. If you've got kids at school, there's a break from the school routine. There's a break from sports, if you play sport. Our church programs are on a break, and that's intentional. That's to give an opportunity to stop, to pause, to listen, to position ourselves for the next stanza. So we're even going to have a little moment at the end of the day, not at the end of the day, at the end of the sermon, just to stop, just for a moment, just create a chance to stop and Selah. So let's have a look in Genesis 2, verse 7. I want to look a little bit, so on this concept of pausing and stopping, a little bit about breath and breathing. And we're going to start in Genesis chapter 2. You're all so quiet and respectful. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's good. No, I think I like it. I think it's good. My house is always noise. And so I'm like, this is really lovely and quiet. You're all pausing. That's good. So what did I say? Chapter 2, verse 7, it says, "Then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being." Right from the start, we know the power of God's breath. We know the power of God breathing life into man, into situations. Later on in Ezekiel, we know the power of God breathing into dry bones. We sung about bones becoming armies. The power of the breath. God's breath is powerful. There's something about it that is truly special. And more recently, I've heard a lot of talk, and I think humanity is realizing the power of our breath, of humans, and the power of breathing, the positive effects it has on the human body. You can do breathing courses these days to teach you how to breathe. You can, it's a part of exercise programs. They will encourage you to breathe properly. It's a part of meditation classes. It's a part of dealing with mental health. Your breath is a part of so much. It's a part of prenatal classes. Anyone done any prenatal classes? Well, even if you haven't, have you seen the movies? This row of guys is like, yes. You might have seen it in the movies, breathing through labour, right? Yeah, you're still very quiet. I know more of you have had babies. There's a lot of babies here this morning, so more of you should be like, yes, we know what you're talking about. Importance of using your breath. And so it helps you breathe. In labour, it helps you breathe through pain. Helps you breathe, helps the body move through things. What happens if you lose control of your breath sometimes? You start to panic. It starts to get a little bit crazy. I'm sure you have people in hospitals that have panic attacks because you're losing control of your breath, of your mind, and it's not a good place to be in. So I remember we have 5 children. Our first child, Noah, who was drumming this morning, he had a birthday this week, guys. We are officially parents of a teenager. I know. Yeah, it's happened. He is 13, but he's pretty sweet. Do you know what he wanted to do? He wanted to have Cocoa Pops for breakfast and toasted cheese sandwiches for lunch. We're like, you have that every day. He goes, but I love them. And we're like, you can pick. Like, you can have Hayden's or McDonald's. He's like, I just really love toasted cheese sandwiches. And he's just really simple. It's easy. Anyway, so Noah, my mantra, my thought process before having Noah was like, I'm not going to worry about prenatal classes, just like busy. And I'm like, if every other woman in the history of the world has done this, I can do this. That was my thought. I was just like, yeah, I'm going to have that mindset. I got to hospital and there's beautiful midwives around, and every now and then you get the odd one that's like not so beautiful. I had one of those come in after days of labour and started quizzing me on the prenatal classes and the breath and this different stuff. And 1, I'm not grading tests, and 2, I didn't do the prenatal class. And I was just like, I'm getting the answers wrong, and I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to have a baby. And safe to say with Noah, I had no idea of the power of breathing and losing control of your mind. Thankfully, And the power of your mind, it makes such a difference, guys. Just saying, it really does. And we have power over that. We have authority. So I learned a thing or two about not breathing, and then I learned how to breathe. And I was like, wow, this is why people do classes. It helps. It really helps your body. One other story. This week, I had the opportunity to put my breath work into practice. I did my first ice bath. Has anyone done an ice bath? No one? Yeah, one. No one else done an ice bath? Yes, I'm the first one. Or second. I did an ice bath. I went up to Bewong. We've got this little health retreat, ice bath, sauna, this whole situation. It was Noah's birthday party day. We'd been surfing all day. It was drizzly, and I was meeting my friends there. I was like, what have I signed up for? I want to go and snuggle up in my tracksuit, not in an ice bath. Anyway, I used the same mindset on the way there. I was like, right, I've done childbirth. I'm going to breathe through it. I'm going to do this. And the instructor even said to us there, he said, it's not often the cold that gets you, it's the pain. Because once you get in there, the body produces pain. And he said, that's just areas of inflammation. And if you can breathe through it, it brings healing. And so I was like, okay. And it was right. I got in the bath, and it wasn't the coldness. It was my feet were painful, and my hands and my joints. But I was like, okay. And I loved it. It was amazing. It was really good. We got to go into a hot sauna after, and then I did it again. But there is power in your breath. And when you learn to breathe and breathe through pain, it actually brings healing. And I think there's stuff in this for us. As we pause, as we stop and listen to God, I think it creates opportunity for us to breathe. And breathing actually allows us to move through some things into the next stanza. When we Selah, when we stop and listen, we're giving ourselves a chance to breathe. We're giving our bodies just a chance to breathe. Who's ever heard people say, I just need a chance to breathe? You're busy. You're like, just need to breathe. Yeah, you do, actually. You do need to breathe. Your body needs to breathe, not only for this, but for your mind, for your heart, for your relationship with God. We actually need to be able to breathe through some of the stuff that's going on. It's an important part of our relationship with God, and it's important for our body. When we Selah and stop and listen and have a chance to breathe, we begin breathing into and through the pain, and we still our minds and bodies and position ourselves for the next stanza. For 2024, we actually stop and position ourselves. I feel like if we don't stop and if we don't listen and we don't breathe, we find ourselves going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, like a little mouse on a treadmill, if that's what you call them, and just go, never affording ourselves the beauty of stopping and hearing God's voice and letting Him minister to us so that we can move into the next things. I believe that it actually allows us to deal with some stuff so we can move into the next thing free from that. And if we don't do that, I think we carry a lot of things from season to season because we just haven't stopped long enough to let God deal with some things and let Him bring some healing. I want to just read a whole chunk of scriptures. If you're quick, you can turn. If you're not, just have a listen. So Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:29. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. In Exodus 33:14, the Lord was saying to Moses, my presence will go with you and I will give you rest. Even in the going, even in the doing, God's there to give you rest. Mark 6:31. Jesus was talking to the disciples in the feeding of the 5,000. So busy time, lots going on. All the disciples are there. And then Jesus says to the disciples, then because so many were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. Yeah, you have this picture of just people and chaos and crowds. And Jesus was like, disciples, come and get some rest. You've been working hard. Your body needs to rest. In Psalm 9:1, whoever dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. At this point, I looked up the word rest because I was like, it's a pretty cool word. God's referring to it. One of the meanings was to relax into something and let it support you. That's what rest means. You know, in Psalm 91, whoever dwells in the shadow of the Most High will rest in Him. Lean in. Let Him help you. Rest in God. Let Him carry the burden. Rest in Him. Let Him do what He needs to do. It will help you. Psalm 23:3. He refreshes my soul and He guides me along the right paths for His name's sake. Hebrews 4:9-12. Let's read this one because it's a few verses it's worth opening up for. Actually, before we do that one, can we do Psalm 116? Is that all right? Is everyone? Yeah, okay. Psalm 116. We'll read this as well. We're going to read verse 1-7. It says, I love the Lord, for He heard my voice. He heard my cry for mercy. Because He turned His ear to me, I will call on Him as long as I live. The cords of death entangled me, and the anguish of the grave came over me. I was overcome by distress and sorrow. Then I called on the name of the Lord, and the Lord saved me. The Lord is gracious and righteous. Our God is full of compassion. The Lord protects the unwary. When I was brought low, He saved me. Return to your rest, my soul, for the Lord has been good to you. How beautiful. Return to your rest, my soul. After all of that, there was like, come on, soul, return to that place of rest. You know, our souls, I think, get a battering these days. There's a lot that can, a lot. And this verse is like, come on, return to that place of perish by following their example of disobedience. For the word of God is alive and active, sharper than any double-edged sword, and it penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joints and marrow, and it judges the thoughts and attitude of the heart. I love this. It says, let us make every effort to enter the rest. You know, who knows that rest just doesn't stumble upon you? You're like busy, and you're like, oh, I'm resting. Like, it's actually an effort. You have to carve out time. You might even have to schedule it in your diary. You might have to, it's effort to get away on holidays. It's effort to pack. It's effort to have the finances. It's effort. But God's like, come on, make every effort to rest in me, to rest for yourself. Let's make every effort to enter that rest. It was a couple of years ago, and we usually go away at this time of year. We usually pack up our little old caravan that's on the church property up there, and we take it away for a few weeks. We've found that that's become our little routine. We're not doing it this year. We're going away a bit later in the year, but a couple of years ago, it just been really busy season. We were moving down here. We started Airbnb-ing our house on Boxing Day. And so we were packing up our house. We were trying to get it ready. And then we were going to be living in our caravan till we found a house a couple of months later. And so it was just busy. We were tired. And one of our favourite little spots to go to these days is Pottsville on the north coast. It's just before Tweed heads. It's like in between Tweed and Byron. Just a little town. We love it. It's on the water. You don't have to drive. You just walk everywhere. Dave's auntie lives there, so we can often have a little babysitter, and we love it. And I found after, I think we had, I don't know, maybe 10 days there or something, and it was the last day, and I walked to the beach, and I was doing like my morning little devotion, which is what I try to do on holidays, and I was just like, I'm still so tired. And I'm like, oh no, the holiday is finishing and we're going back and I'm really tired. Like, just, when you're just like not ready. And I was in that place, I was like, God. And I just so clearly felt God say to me, Pottsville isn't your place of rest. I'm your place of rest. And you're not leaving, you're going to find rest again. It's not in a place, it's actually found in God. And man, it spoke to my heart and I was just like, felt energized. I'm like, no, you know what? I can do this. I can go home and we can, because I'm like, my rest wasn't in a location. It was in God. And I can access that every morning, every night, whenever I want to, I can access the rest that is found in God. It doesn't need to be on a holiday. If you're working full time at the moment, it's okay. You can still find rest. It's found in God. And I just have a sense this morning that God's wanting to bring a deep rest to our soul. You know how there's moments of rest where you're like, oh, I might put my feet up, watch the Australian Open, which is starting right now for all the tennis lovers. Sophie, Australian Open's day. But a moment of rest, putting your feet up on the lounge, yeah, nice. But I just really sense God's like, I want to give you a deep rest in your soul, a rest that you can live from. That place of, if you're at peace with Him and I'm going to be able to function okay because I'm found in Him. And I just really sense that over this period of January, God is wanting to bring rest to our soul. Not so we just live in a place of like slumber and laziness, so that we can stop, that we can listen and get ready for the next things, the next stanza, the next journey, the next months, the next trials, the next victories, the next business, whatever it is, but actually bringing rest to our soul in that place. And so this morning, what we're going to do, our summer services are a bit shorter. I don't know if you've noticed, but we're just bringing everything in. But this morning to finish, I'm actually just going to play a song and put like some picture of the waves on the screen, but giving us a chance to breathe, to take a deep breath. Like, everyone just breathe for a second. I'm not really good at breathing in and out slow. My nose doesn't work great, so I don't breathe through my nose. Before we got in the ice bath, the instructor was like, all right, 3 deep breaths, just breathe. Just allow your body to stop, to slow down. And so we're going to put a song on, and I encourage you, just breathe, just stop. You don't have to do anything. Maybe God might want to speak to you in that time. But if nothing else, we're just going to create a moment of Selah, of pause, and then we're going to close the service. Is that all right? Yeah. And so it's a beautiful song. This is the air I breathe. And just in my devotions lately, just looking out at the ocean, I